Okay, here we are. State of mind. If you like what you see, subscribe. Hit it, hit it, hit it. We're climbing, man. We're getting close. And we're very close now to the 100. So I get to have, my plaque and put it right here and be cool, YouTube, milestone. So just keep hitting the button. Hit it 85,000 times if you want. Who do I got today? Oh my goodness. Okay. It's pretty safe to say, because I don't bullshit, probably top three actors. When I say actors, I mean actors and actresses I have ever worked with. That's just a fact. Um, you know, she's got Emmys, as many as I have, and and let's just get right to it. She was the original Carly, and her name is Sarah Brown. How you doing?
What an introduction. I'll pay you later.
Yeah, you can pay me later.
Thank you, Maurice.
You look great. I've told you that 7 times already since your hat, your face, your green thing, and your red shoes and your black pants.
Going for a little Christmas cheer.
Good.
Yeah.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Los Angeles.
Oh, really?
Strange that you don't know that, but
Yeah.
I was born in
And even if
Northern
I did, I'd
California.
lie and act like I
You're like,
don't.
oh yeah, that's right. We grew up at the same little watering spot. I don't know, to be fair, where you grew up.
San Francisco.
You grew up in San Francisco. Okay, so I spent a lot of time in Northern California,
Yeah.
which is close by.
Eureka.
Eureka's where I was born, and then my parents were married in Ukiah, and then we were in Eureka and Seattle for a little while, and then we moved down here to Los Angeles,
Wow.
where I've been.
Paula's
been.
brother lived in Eureka, then he was in Seattle,
Really?
and then now he's in Los Angeles. Interesting. Yeah, yeah. Now he lives with us, but he works on the farm there in my house. It's great.
Oh, you have a farm there?
Well, it's I got alpacas, I got
Oh my
goats,
gosh.
I got big dogs, I got parrots, I got all kinds of stuff. So, and how many brothers and sisters?
We are 5 total, but my dad has 5 and my mom has 2. So my dad had 3 children, 2 from his first marriage, which was when he was 18 years old. Graduated high school, had a baby, and got married in the same week.
Dang.
18 years old, and then he and Susan divorced, and he met my mom after sticking out his thumb. So my dad's whole family are from Connecticut and the East Coast. For going back to, I don't want to say the actual Mayflower, but the actual founding of our country, and he just stuck out his thumb and hitchhiked all the way across the country.
Are you serious?
He ended up in a little town in up in Northern California, where my mom's family had been for generations and generations. And she was working in a health food store, and he wandered in, and they tell a story about, meeting. And then the next day my dad came home and there were doilies all over the apartment or the place. And that was the end. So, and then my little sister, my dad and my mom divorced after a while. And my dad met my little sister's mom, who also raised me.
Wow.
So a little bit of an
What
eclectic upbringing.
what is Eureka like? Because John, I don't know, he liked it, then he didn't like. I don't know.
I've only driven through Eureka since
Oh.
I was a baby when I left. So I want to say I was 2 or 3 years old at the most. And I've only ever driven through and hung out for a little while during the day. It's really nice. It's beautiful. When you drive past it, I believe there are a lot of paper plants. There's a very strange smell when you drive through.
Oh, because
Eureka.
okay.
It's like paper.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a good smell.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how that is to live around, but it was interesting driving through it. And the one thing I would say is that overcast, which is very common in Northern California, is just in my soul.
Oh,
know.
really?
Yeah, and maybe being in Seattle when I was little as well. It's in my soul. I love it. I'm
See,
very
I'm
attracted
the
to
opposite.
it.
And you
need
know
a sunny
what?
day. Yeah.
John loves it.
John who?
Mike Paula's brother,
Oh,
who
okay,
lived in
yeah, yeah.
Eureka.
Yeah, well, that's why he loves it there, probably, or
But
he enjoys it.
he loves rain, and I'm
I
thinking,
like it. We need it, by the way. I like it too. I don't know why. I also love the snow. So go figure. I'm Cali girl.
I like hot. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like hot too, but I just there's something about it. Like I said, it soothes my soul. Anytime I'm near the beach, I'm happy.
Interesting.
And anytime I'm near the beach and it's overcast, I'm extra happy.
That's interesting.
I don't know.
And I'm the opposite happy. I'm not that happy when it's overcast.
I'm sure you go to the beach, you want a sunny
want to see
day.
sun.
I'm like, when is it gonna rain? It'll be perfect. I love that.
So then you were in Los Angeles. Then were you the only actor in the?
I'm the only actor in my family. Correct.
How was that?
I mean, going back a really long time, there is another very famous actor who I won't mention, but I think he's a cousin or something. How was that? Interestingly,
It's not easy.
No, not easy. But I will say easier than it would have been probably for other people because my dad's a visual artist and he inspired creativity in my brother and I from the time we were very young. And it was part of our upbringing to sit with my dad and draw. That was like, and we weren't allowed to watch TV. So it was, when I was really little, there was some TV, there were some cartoons and things like that. But as I grew older, we weren't allowed to watch TV. It was just weekends, the only time we could watch TV. My dad insisted we go outside. So he instilled team sports in me. He got me into gymnastics. I wanted to do it, and he put me in at 5, I want to say. I started tap at 4. And by 5, I was already on team doing competitive gymnastics, training for competitive gymnastics at that point. But funny enough, my dad, who was my biggest fan in the entire world, was not the person who encouraged me to be an actor at all.
Who was it?
My mom. She just had my back that way. The minute I mentioned it to my mom, she lit up and she said, yes, absolutely. Whatever it takes, let's do it. And my mom drove 4 hours a day.
Yeah,
back and
my
forth
mom
to
the same thing.
Just did it. She did it every
Now,
single day.
Answer this, because it's interesting that your mom and my mom were the same way. My mom, 100% believed that I was going to make it as much as I did.
My mom too.
And no one else did.
That's right. That's how my mom
You
was.
too?
She literally would just look at me and she'd go, you're going to be a star.
Wow.
Like, she just saw it. She saw in me a determination, I think.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know, the first time she saw me act, she thought I had what it takes. But it's hard to know. You know,
right?
it's hard to, the business is a whole different onion, if you will, from being an actor. And you can't know whether that's going to work out for somebody. So my dad was very practical. And he really, almost to my detriment, he would say things like, I understand you want to be an actor, and that's all fine and good, but you really need to get your education because you need something to fall back on. My mom was the opposite. She was like, you don't need all that. You
Same
just go
with me.
for it. But my mom, I will say, really protected me, and she wouldn't let me. I had a couple of little auditions for things, but my mom wouldn't allow me to work before I was 18 years old. Not in this business at all. She just wasn't having it. So I went to the High School for the Performing Arts, and then I went to Hamilton Academy of Music, and I graduated from both. But she wasn't allowing me to also have an agent at the same time, or like really pursue opportunities for myself until I graduated high school, and then I went into college and I booked the lead in the school play on my 3rd day of school. And from that experience, my dad got to see me. I was doing Antigone, Jean Anouilh's Antigone in college, and my dad got to see me work, and he never said another thing. I dropped out of college, and I went on to do Paratroopers.
He knew.
He was a convert once he saw me work, yes. Yeah. But he'd never really had an opportunity. It was just a pipe dream for my dad.
Yeah.
He just thought, well, yeah, sure, okay. see what you got. But he had never seen my work. So once he did, he just zipped it right up. He was like, baby, you're amazing. You know?
That's great.
He was a great
At
dad.
least he could see that and
He definitely saw.
now, when you start acting,
Yeah.
like myself, did you have that fire in you, man?
Oh, yeah.
And you just knew you were going to be this. My thing was I wanted to be the best actor in the world. So
In the world.
in the world.
Of course it was, Maurice. You're like, yeah, I don't want to just be an actor. I want to be the
best
best
actor in the world.
course.
But I really believed it in here.
Right.
So you trained
I trained a lot.
and you studied.
Yes. I trained a lot. I studied a lot. It was really, I took myself too seriously at 15. You know, I was always wearing a blazer and I think I took myself a little too seriously with the work. But my teachers were all very serious. One of my teachers was Penny Gerald, who's, people know her as Sir from Castle. Did you ever see Castle on ABC with Nathan Fillion?
Yeah, I did that show
She's
once.
the African-American boss, his boss.
Yeah.
They called her Sir. That's kind of how we treated her in high school.
Wow.
She was tough. She was really tough, but she was my favorite teacher, and she was incredible. But she went to Juilliard, and a lot of our teachers went to Juilliard, so they weren't playing with us. Even though we were in high school,
Yeah.
they expected us to work and train as if we were going to go to Juilliard as soon as we graduated. So
Were you, because I'm assuming this is going to be a yes, but you may not say it. Were you the best in the high school?
Oh, definitely not.
No? Come on, Sarah.
I have to say that I was surrounded by really talented kids.
Wow.
And I will tell you that I had all of the support of my peers.
Okay.
Nobody was looking at me sideways in high
Right,
school going,
right.
oh, this kid doesn't, that wasn't happening. However, no, I'll say this. There were people who were better at the technical aspects
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
They understood the material better
Yeah.
than I did. I'm dyslexic, so I really struggled when I first came into acting until I recognized and realized I had a superpower of memorization. Whatever I heard, my brain automatically memorized it, categorized it, if it was acting. Not if it was, you know, a lot of other things. I didn't
Yeah.
memorize news reports, but anything I was doing that had to do with a scene, because there was a sort of a mapping of emotions that was going on for me in my brain. And once I learned the route to something, I never forget it.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean I can't make a deviation, but I knew how to get home from that point. And so I would listen to the scene a couple of times and realize I knew everyone's lines. Just from hearing it once. Once I realized that, it gave me a confidence that I can't really explain. And also I did a project in class that was really meaningful to me, and the kids were blown away. It was the first time that I ever had an experience of having, you know, my peers or teachers or whoever it was coming up to me and saying, wow, I'm blown away by what you did.
Yeah.
And that gave me that bug, that
Yeah.
fire
Yeah,
that you talk
yeah,
about.
yeah.
And yeah, I had it burned so bright in me as a kid. I, like you, wanted to be the best.
Yeah.
I can't say that I wanted to be the best actor in the world, because I don't think that I really qualified people that way with their acting. Like Robert De Niro is better than Al Pacino.
Right.
I mean, you know, it's apples and oranges, really. They're so different, but they're both so incredible and gifted that we would lose something if we only had one of them.
Gotcha, yeah.
Even though they can play a lot of the same roles,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So I think we're all just so individual, and I think what's great about acting is that individual sauce that you bring.
Yeah.
I grew up in a very different way than most of my peers, and so I could definitely see that people were better trained than I was. They had more discipline than I had. They certainly couldn't memorize a 60-page script in 6 minutes like I could, but they had things that they had going for them that worked better for the program we were in.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of drama going on at home when I was a kid, and so it was difficult. Besides being dyslexic, it was difficult to get the homework in and keep up with the assignments. I had no problem doing the shows and doing all of that,
Yeah.
but it was a very tough high school to go to, High School for the Arts. It's just very consuming. You spend, I think it's 4 hours a day. We study longer than regular kids every day.
Wow.
And then you spend your weekends at the school.
Yeah.
So in a way, you get out of there being so well trained. I thought I was maybe overtrained. I was a little too trained and too versed in Shakespeare and neoclassic Greek tragedy, which is really all we worked on, that kind of stuff. But I got that bug going on stage for the first time, doing Antigone and playing the lead in the show. You know, playing Antigone, if you will, and playing off of a lot of older people.
Yeah.
It brought my game up. I got my first great review for that show, and that was the real turning point, I think.
So from that,
Also, can we talk about the fact that I went to high school with Paula Patton? So no, I definitely don't think, I don't put myself in a category where I was assistant directing the play and Paula was the lead.
Paula Patton.
Paula Patton from Precious. Did you see Precious?
No.
Oh, she's just phenomenal. She was also in Mission Impossible. African-American, stunning, gorgeous. She was married to Robin Thicke for 20 or so
wait
years.
a minute, Sarah.
Yep, we were really
wait
good
a minute,
friends.
Sarah.
I introduced her to her husband. She
it's
was a
too-
better actor.
Oh, then.
Yeah,
But she wasn't better when you not.
I mean, again, I can't.
I know you don't
want
wanna
to
compare. I know.
She's incredible.
And I know
Precious.
Robin
I don't know
Thicke.
if you've seen it. I introduced those two.
Wow.
So I like to take. I was dating Robin's brother, and Paula had a huge crush on him. She's like,
Oh,
"Will you
really?
Please introduce me to Robin." And we were a little older than him, so I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
But I look back now at the pictures of us in the yearbook, and Paula is in the front, and I am like 4 rows back because I was assistant directing the show. The teacher thought I had a better shot at being a director, and Paula had a better shot at being an actor. She's flawlessly gorgeous. Also,
Wow, yeah.
flawlessly gorgeous. And
I think you'd be a good director.
that's what I do now. I mean, that's one of the things I'm doing now. Thank God. I love directing. But I've been working at it since I was in high school.
Yeah. So from that, and then how did General Hospital?
So from the college experience doing Antigone, I was seen at some point either when I was in high school or while I was in the show or while I was in Showcase. It's hard to say how somebody saw your work, but a good friend of mine was Amy Jo Johnson. She's the Pink Power Ranger. And she
Right.
was my neighbor as well. We lived on the same property, but it was divided in half into 2 houses. So she was doing Power Rangers, and apparently her boss had asked her if she had any friends that were actresses, and she said, "Oh, you've got to meet Sarah." So I'd just done the play,
Dang.
and I had this great review, and she talked to the bosses about me specifically, and then they brought me in for a read with Katie Wallen, who was the casting director. And I got VR Troopers from that.
Oh.
And I did 92 episodes or 94 episodes in a year and a half. And then I went on to General Hospital. I did a movie in between, but I only had 1 line and it wasn't scripted. So it doesn't really count.
You did Big Mama?
I did Big Mama after. I did Big Mamas in 2006. Yeah.
So GH, you did a screen test, or how was that?
I did a screen test.
With who?
I had to fly in from Canada. I was doing this movie in Canada, and I had to fly in from Canada to do the initial audition with Mark Deschner, because apparently you guys had done the casting and they didn't find who they wanted. And I was up in Canada, so I had, I don't know if I'd passed or just my management said, she's not reachable. And they said, well, we're going to go for another round. Will she come? So I went ahead and flew in for it, and Mark Teschner loves to tell the story about how I was dressed in leather and just completely wrong for the part, not the way that they were seeing it. Also, soap operas, he talks about me really funny when he talks about my audition. But I remember seeing a teddy bear on Mark's desk and grabbing it and hugging it in the middle of the scene as part of the character.
Dang.
And Mark loved that. And he said, hold on right there. And he ran down the hall and grabbed Wendy. And he had Wendy come back in. He said, can you do it again? Did it again, and that was that. They said, hey, come screen test. I screen test opposite Steve Burton's then girlfriend, Tara Reid.
That's
Yes.
right. That's right.
And Miss USA or Miss America. I don't remember, but at the time she was Miss USA or Miss America. And she was stunning, gorgeous, 6 foot blonde
Yeah,
hair, blue
yeah.
eyes. And I was a little overweight at the time for me. And I was, I flew in from Canada. I had flown back to Canada to finish up the movie and then flew back for the screen test. And Steve was great. I mean, I have to say, I'm so grateful it was Steve.
Yeah, yeah.
I made a really ballsy move, and I grabbed him by the back of his hair, and I pulled his face down, and I laid one on him because we had to kiss. But he didn't expect it at all. He was like so flustered. And I think a lot of other guys might have, who knows what kind of reaction I might have gotten. It's acting, so we generally tend to think, let's be open to everything.
Right.
But when a girl you don't know grabs you by the back of your hair and
Especially
pulls your head
Steve.
down, yeah, like Steve,
like,
oh my God. I'm surprised he didn't literally just grab me by my shoulders and go, "What are you doing, girl?" And his girlfriend is downstairs, P.S.
Oh, that was, at the time.
But I was doing naughty. I was watching all the other auditions downstairs, and I wasn't supposed to be, but I was.
Wow.
Competitive. And I was just watching to see what people did and what traps not to fall into and what I didn't want to do.
Yeah, that's actually smart.
That's what you got to do. Get the
So
edge.
then you obviously got it. Had nothing to do with me
No,
because
it
we
didn't
were
have
in.
anything to do- I didn't see you for a while. Like I looked so ridiculous when I started General Hospital. I had a really bad, people like to refer to it as butch haircut, but I don't, necessarily.
And you
think
were with
that's the
Tony
right-
Gary, no?
I was working a lot with Brad Mull and Jackie
yeah.
Zeman.
Right.
And then eventually Tony, because it was a while before Tony's character got wise that my character was Bobby's daughter.
Yeah.
And she was going, people, I hope I didn't just spoil the story for you. I'm Bobby's daughter. So, and I love working with Tony, I have to say.
Yeah, Tony was fantastic.
What a great experience. And I love working with Jackie. And it just, my time on GH was outstanding.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Well, you won 3 Emmys. You had a great time. Yeah.
I really had a great time.
And you worked with me.
I worked with you constantly. I worked with Steve. I worked with Jackie.
But we weren't supposed to be.
We were not supposed to be.
No.
Maurice, they picked up on our chemistry, and I think as actors,
Yeah.
we both were watching each other going, I want to work with him.
Right.
And pushing the writers that way. Like, I would really love to work with Maurice, but it was a while before the writers started to invest in my character.
And you have to understand too.
And you were with Brenda.
Yeah,
I think,
it was a
and-
little nerve-wracking because they wanted me to be with you while you're with Steve. Or
Right.
Jason, whatever the.
Yes.
So I was like, she's great, but man, the fans are going to get on my ass.
Yeah, like a
But-
love triangle.
The story where they had us have sex
That was
and then Steve walks in, it just all was cool to watch.
yes.
Whether you hated me
Yep.
or you, it didn't matter because it was good.
It was well
drum.
directed.
Yeah.
Yes. It was really well directed and well acted. And to this day, I think it holds up. It's really fun to watch. It's fun. It's exciting. It's one of those, oh God, I can't watch. Cover my eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh no, Jason.
But
Yeah,
boy,
it was fun.
it became a thing and it's still there.
It really did. It became a thing. I want to say, how long is it? Let's see. I started in '96. So here we are. Like it's.
How many years is it?
Where are we right now? 2022. So, so we have 12, 16 years.
16 years.
Yeah, that's a really long time.
I've gone
That's
through
a long
four Carlys.
Poor baby. I feel for you. I feel for you. I was so young, Maurice, when I started. In fairness to myself, I mean, obviously, who walks away from a role like that, a character like that, a job like that, all of the things? I was really 25 when I left. I was only 25 when I left.
But I'm going to say this.
Or 26.
You left, right, for your reasons of, I think it was a script or something. But anybody who leaves a show, and I'm going to say this about Ingo and Steve, whether I wouldn't do it,
Yeah.
but it takes a certain individual to have the guts
Yeah.
to believe in what they're doing and leave.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy.
It's not easy at all. It's
Right,
really
Sarah?
hard to walk. No, it's not. Listen, it's so hard to walk away from a place where it's sort of maybe like if you're in a good marriage, why would you walk away from it?
Yeah.
Because there might be something else out there. For me, it was a case of maybe getting into a great marriage very young. So when you're
Yeah.
18, it's a good marriage, but maybe part of you is going, but I've never been with anyone else. I've never seen anything else. So I just didn't have any experience. I came from all of this training.
Right.
And in my mind, I wasn't successful. That wasn't successful yet.
I get you. I get you. Yeah.
Until I was at a point where I was going to be able to work with actors on a daily basis that I'd never worked with before. And that was my training. That was my idea of what acting is.
Yeah.
Acting is constantly putting on a different character.
Yes. Well,
And that
but
was hard.
you know what, Sarah? That's kind of the way when I got into acting. Now I just don't. This is my love. But when I got into acting, that was my deal too. I just want to play different characters.
Right.
And what's funny for me is I couldn't get arrested for like 25 years, and then the last 5 years I did quite a lot of jobs. Right, played John Gotti and all these other things. A lot of different jobs. One Mickey Rourke. And then I said to myself, I don't want that pressure.
Yeah.
Because when you're on a new set,
Right.
it's I'm used to
Yes.
my high school.
Right. It's literally high school. Everybody loves you. Everyone knows your name. They got your back. Whatever
Cheers.
you need. What does Maurice need? Got it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all like a well-oiled machine. And honestly, Maurice, in your particular situation, I completely understand.
Yes.
And support it. And also for a lot of people, I understand and support that decision. It doesn't make sense to leave a great job for the opportunities that might come unless you're doing it because your personality is dictating it.
Yeah.
Just to take a risk for a risk isn't worth it. If you
Yeah.
find that you're in a job, what happens is you get, I think, stagnant in your work. If you're not constantly, like you stayed in school. I know you were associated with the actor's studio.
Yeah,
you were going, you were doing
And
your
I'm
work.
always, you know.
Yes. And I would go back
Digging,
to class,
digging, yeah,
and
digging.
working
Right.
with your wife, working with Paula,
Yeah.
rehearsing the scenes,
Yeah.
and she's going to call bullshit.
Yes.
Like I would.
Too many-
like
too
I
many
would call
times.
bullshit if you were phoning something in. I would sort of,
Yeah.
are you cool? Like, let's fix it. Let's do it again. So wanting to wake up every day with that fire in my soul that we talked about, that
Yeah.
got me into it in the first place, is the reason I left. I wanted that again. And I was exhausted also.
Yeah.
I just had my
They
daughter.
worked your ass.
They worked both of us.
I know.
Like nonstop. But having had Jordan, also I had celiac disease and I didn't know it.
Oh, yeah.
But I was definitely suffering from it. I went through hell.
Talk about that.
I went through hell. I mean, it's been hell. Like I said this morning, I don't know if I was on camera, I was talking to Carolyn Hennessy this morning and my eyes were so swelled, almost shut, that I didn't want to go out for lunch because I just wanted to like fix it before I had to come in here.
Wow.
And, job well done. Thankfully, I know how to fix it by now. But it was just a night at the movies with my daughter. And so I have to be so careful everywhere I go about everything I eat. And one little thing, it just ruins my
got
day.
you some, what is it?
Gluten-free?
Yes.
You didn't.
I did
really?
some crackers. I went today and got it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It's really kind that you even know what it is.
Yeah.
So I had just some experiences when I was pregnant with Jordan that really, I was wiped out. I was physically wiped out. I was emotionally wiped out. And I stayed for a little while. I think I stayed for an extra year after Jordan was born. But I needed a break. I needed to take some time. Daytime is just, as you know, there's nothing like daytime.
Let me just say this. Brian Craig was on the show. We had talks.
Yeah.
When you're as good as you
Thank you.
and him, because I think he's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
And now he's on a show. And I kept telling him, don't go back to the soap.
Right.
Stay. Talent will be rewarded eventually.
Right.
I say go.
You tell them all to go.
Yes.
Now you say, go, do it. Spread
Yes.
your wings. Yeah. But listen,
But I
Maurice-
won't say it to people who aren't that good.
Right.
Sorry.
There's a difference.
I'm sorry, Sarah. I can't
Yeah.
do it.
No, as you shouldn't.
But
You tell them, hey, you're doing amazing here.
yeah.
You stay put. You stay right where you are.
Exactly.
You're so good. We need you.
we need you, poor
need
guy,
you
because I don't
here.
want him to,
Right.
but I don't know what could happen. The guy who's not as good could break,
That's right.
and make some big movie, and all of a sudden he's not that good, but he's still making big movies.
That's right.
Um,
And you don't know the personality of the person,
Right.
whether or not they can handle being broke, driving an Uber, going from a soap opera to tending bar.
yeah,
That's hard.
yeah.
But it's good character building. It really is. And being an actor, you need to be a character.
Yeah, I mean,
need to
Brian would call
live.
me. He's run out of money.
Yeah. So
But I'm
that's
like,
the
don't-
caveat.
Don't, and he didn't, and then now he's.
Now he's working and doing well. Yeah, that's the problem, is that you can't predict for somebody else's life what's going to happen, whether their temperament is going to match with the next director they work with, or that person's going to blacklist them and then never work again. And then they're
never
going,
know.
you told me
Right.
to leave that soap opera.
Right,
It was
exactly.
you. You destroyed my life.
But you know what I stand by?
Yeah, talent.
I know talent.
That's right. And you know that, you know your work ethic.
Yes,
Not everybody can audition well.
that's true.
And that's another caveat. People fall into,
That's
I'm
true.
a good actor.
That's
I
true.
know I'm good, but you're not good at auditioning.
I know.
You're
That's
not going to get the job.
you should see my son.
Is he good at auditioning?
Oh.
He's amazing at auditioning. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
well, he got a
That's
show
what
called
Paula said.
on HBO
I didn't know that.
called the Rehearsal with Nathan.
Oh my gosh! Wait, Nathan Felder.
Yeah.
Oh, my daughter's obsessed.
Oh,
with him.
tell her to watch
She's
the rehearsal.
obsessed.
She's
obsessed.
Episode 4.
She will
The last 10 minutes is all Joshua
Oh.
with him
Oh, we'll
together.
watch together.
Oh, it's great.
She'll love it.
You'd love him. You and him.
I'm sure.
You and him.
Oh, have you worked with him yet? Have you had a chance to do any scenes with him? Or
I work with him. He came to me at 13, said he wanted to act. I said, no, you don't. He said, yes, I do. I said, Joshua, you don't understand. He said, yes. I said, I'll give you a month. I'll work with you, the method, this. Came to me, did a monologue for me. And I went, oh, James Dean.
there you go.
And I said, okay, he's going to be.
There you go.
And that's where he's at. You two together would be amazing.
I'd
You
love
playing
to.
like his mother?
That'd be great.
Oh.
I love it. I would love to work with your son.
Oh,
and play
no.
his mother. I love like. This
Let me
is a
just,
great idea.
we're going to
I
figure
love to
something
work
out.
it. Listen, my niece has got it too.
Oh, really?
My brother's
How old?
youngest daughter. She's just turned 16.
He's 18.
I mean, maybe we get them and
Okay,
something
let's-
together. Like just self-tape is like, apparently now if you make a good self-tape, you can get
I
an
know.
agent. So
Well, yeah.
yeah.
So we'll work on that. We got to talk mental health
Yeah.
before we go.
Let's talk mental health.
Let's talk mental health. How do you feel about mental health?
I think there's a lot of stigma associated with mental health. And so people don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Nobody, even the word, just mental health, like, oh, come on, get over
Yeah.
it. Get over yourself.
Yeah.
Mental health, you're fine.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a family that my dad had very,
Your dad passed away, right?
he did. He passed away 2 years ago on December 8th.
Wow.
And he was my bestie. We were just really, really, really close. I know. I remember your dad. I danced
loved
with
you,
your dad.
man.
I loved dancing with your dad. Whenever I was around your dad, he always asked me to dance. And he was a classy, classy man. I will miss him.
He was the best. Remember, he used to
Really?
yell,
Oh,
"¿Qué pasó?" ¿Cómo está la-"
literally, he was. Your dad lit up the room.
Lit up the
Every
room.
time I ever met or came anywhere near your dad and your mom both would come around me and just grab me and, oh, Maurice loves working with you. And I loved your parents. I loved spending time with them. They were so kind and good to me. I'm really sorry about your dad.
Yeah, I'm sorry about your dad.
It's really this has been the hardest thing that's ever happened to me. So
Really?
yeah, it's taken me 2 years I didn't even write an obituary for a year. I couldn't say the words, really, my dad. I miss him
Wow.
so.
And he had what?
My dad had stupidity. He was a smoker
Oh, yeah, that's right.
his whole life. And even at the end, he was still sneak outside. I was taking care of him for the last couple months of
At
his
the
life.
end?
Yes. He would sneak out onto the patio and get himself a cigarette. He could barely walk or function. He could hardly talk at this point. But I would still catch him out there grabbing a cigarette here and there.
Do you let him smoke at that point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He already was terminal. And I mean, he wasn't terminal anymore. So my dad had lung cancer, but he recovered from the lung cancer. However, he had emphysema and chronic COPD, and he couldn't recover from those things. So he just couldn't catch a breath.
What were your last words?
They were awful, Maurice. My last words to him were beautiful.
Okay.
But the morning that he passed, I was trying to help him because he was clearly struggling. And he was staying in my living room downstairs, living in a chair because he couldn't lay back. So he lived in a lazy boy in my living room. My mom camped out on the couch there. And I had gotten up for breakfast that morning. And we had a routine. Every morning I'd make him his coffee and do the different things he needed. He became very increasingly controlling because my dad was already a very controlling kind of person. He was very in control, I should say, most of his life. So all he had left was a little tiny table next to his chair. That's all. His entire domain came down to a tiny table about 18 inches long and 8 inches wide. So he was meticulous about this table. He would point and say, there's a wrapper here. I need this banana picked up. He wouldn't speak because he couldn't really talk anymore, but he would go like this when he came downstairs. And it was so funny to see him that way, but to understand that this was a man who was losing control. And it was very painful for him. And it was hard for me to watch that. But the last thing I said to him was, I think, Dad, come let me help you. And he went like this, like batted his hands like he was angry. And he said, get away. Get away from me. It's like that. And my dad was, like I said, he told me all the time I was his best friend. So it was, it was really unfortunate. But when he did pass on, I've listened to a couple of your episodes.
Yeah.
Listened to other people talking about losing their loved one, their closest person. And I wanted to just add my voice to the choir of people who have said this. My dad was sort of losing, he was gasping for breath. It was going on for hours and hours and hours. He had to do not resuscitate. So it was a difficult situation to just be there watching him slowly try to take a breath at a time. And at one point, I had called my sister and I called his girlfriend. I had my daughter and my mom was there with me. I had my daughter on one phone, my sister on the other phone, his girlfriend on my mom's phone. And so we were all there around him. And I started to say, Daddy, do you see your mom? Do you see your mom? She's right there. She's right there waiting for you. Do you see Sharon? That's my sister's mom who passed on. And Maurice, his eyes just lit up.
No.
And he looked right through me. I heard somebody else on your show say this. He looked right through me to the other side. And I could see him, see them, and his whole face changed. All of the fear left. The pain left from his eyes, and he smiled. And he was in ecstasy. The best I can describe was looking at someone who's looking at the things they say you see when you die. And I could see him seeing it, like you can with an actor.
Yes,
You
yes.
know that they're watching
Yes.
something because you can see it in their eyes. And then his eyes faded out. As he looked at them, they went dark. And it was really hard for me. A lot of people talk about what a beautiful moment it is.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that way for me. It was excruciating. That's the hardest thing I've ever dealt with. And I lost my dog before my dad, and I was really close to my dog, as you will understand.
Yeah.
But I think it prepared me because I cried for 2 years about my dog. I couldn't see a German Shepherd walking down the street without bursting into tears. So needless to say, it was a lot harder with my dad. I couldn't talk about it. I couldn't, I did the obligatory, very quick sort of Facebook posts and whatever to let everybody know what had happened. And then I posted a lot of pictures of him. but I couldn't talk about him. I couldn't get rid of his things. I know my dad. He was such a spiritual guy, and I knew he was at peace. It wasn't about him, because my dad was really okay with dying. He was very okay with it. He'd been an incredibly spiritual person his whole life, and he didn't look forward to leaving the earth, but he was very okay with where he was, and he constantly said, "I'm just so grateful, Sarah. I'm so grateful for the life I lived."
Wow.
So,
That's beautiful.
so it wasn't my dad, it was me. I just couldn't let him go. So it took a really, really long time. It's taken me until this anniversary on the 2nd year of his passing, and really sharing it with the fans. I was surprised by how many people wrote me back. I mean, hundreds of people wrote me back. I just lost my mom. I just lost my dad. I lost my parents around the holidays.
That's the
I know
beautiful.
how you're feeling. You know, it never goes away, but you can heal over time. And just reading so many messages in a row, it kind of pulls you out of your own trauma and torture to recognize we're all going to go through it. If we're lucky, we lose our parents first, you know? And so it was just the way that the world works. It's just nature. And having to accept that has been really hard for me.
What I'd like to do for this state of mind, Anthony, we can put in memory of
Oh, thank you. Thank
her
you.
father, right? And before or after, I don't know how it works.
Thank you.
That I'll do for sure. All right, I'm not going to keep you after that because that was deep and that was beautiful. And fuck, now I'm gonna. Oh shit.
What else?
No, I'm just getting emotional now.
It's hard to talk about our parents. Listen, these are our people that believe in you, and they push you into everything that you've done in your life.
See, this is what you do to me with your, but this is real. It's even worse.
But I don't want you to get depressed.
No, I don't get depressed. I'm a different guy now.
I have to ask you, if I can,
Yeah.
because I'm curious about sort of, it's more than curiosity. I care. So I shouldn't say curiosity. I really care about what men are struggling
Oh,
with
yeah,
right now.
yeah. That was a good question.
Okay,
look.
Do you think this is related to sort of the way that men have grown up being told not to cry?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think what's happening is it's all backfiring.
Yeah.
How we were brought up to hold everything in and to not cry, and it's weak.
Stiff upper lip.
Yes, and you have to be this way, you have to be that way.
You end up hitting your wife or pushing
Yeah,
your kids around because I'm the big man
exactly.
here. Whereas when you have a relationship with a woman that allows you, or a partner that allows you to be who you are, fully human, cry, everything you go through.
We, you, me, whoever else, we break the chain.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with my kids, there's no, I never laid a hand on them or anything, and that's just the way that was. I broke that chain. Right. I had this conversation yesterday with my son. There's things that I could have done, like I've said it before on State of Mind, of, I'm not affectionate and I'm not verbal, and I'm paying for that. Mm-hmm. But the reason that I've been through so much, as you know, but now I think I'm getting to a place where I've learned quite a lot, because I want to examine myself. I don't like to feel these feelings.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So you go,
wow,
what do I do to fix that?
How do you act when you don't like to feel those feelings?
I don't want to act.
Okay, but you spent your whole life.
Oh, yeah. Because it was, early on, it was ego and hunger.
Okay.
Ego and hunger.
But did you feel those emotions
Yeah,
in your
yeah.
character? You allow your character to have those feelings.
It hurt, always,
Okay.
always. What's happening now, Sarah, is not always, but it just happened this week. I act, and the little monster comes out, the little rage inside of me, and I'm thinking, I don't want to do this.
Okay.
Why am I being forced to feel this.
To go through an emotional
Right.
journey that isn't part of your life.
Yeah, early on, I guess it was just whatever it was. I wanted to be this, that. Now I don't really, so now it's like, but then, look, I got to make a living.
You want to keep your life more calm and,
Yes,
and
but-
keep the drama off the stage.
Yes, but here's what I've come to the conclusion.
Yeah.
You got to be in first, second gear, always. That's calm. Yeah. You can go to third.
Okay.
Don't go to fourth.
Don't go to fourth.
Don't go to fifth or sixth. I was in seventh during the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
Almost done.
I saw the episode about it.
Yeah, it wasn't good. So what I do now, what I do is I do whatever I have to do to stay in first and second.
Okay.
And then I'm good.
Right.
So I've been great for 2 years.
So does that mean canceling appointments if you have them? If there's a
Whatever,
job opportunity,
too much.
it's too much. I can't. It's too much
I don't
stress.
want. It's the pressure. Yes.
Right. So it's respecting your
Yes.
work-life balance
Yes.
and understanding where your tipping
Yes.
point is. And once somebody hits that, you just say, no, thank you.
Yes.
I'm done. And that's all
it.
you have to say.
Abs-
No, thank you. I don't need to yell at you. I just need to say no,
Exactly.
thank you and walk away.
It's much easier now for me to say no.
Right.
I couldn't say no before because that makes me feel weak.
The ego.
The ego.
That's right.
Got to knock that ego.
That's right.
It's the ego that kills, especially men.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Do you think financial pressures also with the pandemic, is that playing
Yeah,
into it? 'Cause
yeah.
I've
It
seen
all
a
has
lot
the
of-
financial.
A
Yeah.
lot of men who have children.
Yes.
And that's the part of it, I think, that is so hard for
It's
me
very. It's.
to understand. I think
Yeah.
we as women don't understand what you guys are going through, but we need to have this dialogue. We need to have this talk because obviously at the end of the day, we're not doing a good job saving our men.
And the
Not that you all need to
percentage
be
of
saved,
suicides
You should have a place you
are
can
men.
go. That's right.
I don't.
That's right.
I was going to look that up.
There's a higher percent. It's more
Oh.
common for men to
Yeah.
commit suicide. That's correct. And if anybody listening to this is having suicidal
Yeah,
thoughts,
we'll put
please.
this on at the end, suicide thing, and the whole thing at the end. All right, sir. I gotta go take a nap.
Okay, good.
I want to say to Sarah, she was just composed, great, insightful. Of course, she made me cry because that's what we do together, always have. And
right.
I just appreciate it so
I
much.
appreciate you too. I'm so glad we're still friends.
Thank you. Later on, state of mind. Bye. All right.